Good evening and welcome to today's Tropics for September 26th, 2021. Please note, I'm not a meteorologist and this video is just a collection of my thoughts and opinions about the storm I'm talking about, and for any decision making, please consult the National Hurricane Center or local officials. So today, again, I'm looking at Hurricane Sam, which is currently out in the central or Atlantic, east of the Lesser Antilles still. And throughout the day, the storm was looking pretty good. It was very well defined. It was very high end cyclone, but seems to be weakening now. It's got a much warmer or much colder eye, a warmer CDO, so it's definitely started to weaken. Not looking nearly as healthy as it did before. It seems that it's due to some inner core issues, but we do have recon in there actually, and that's kind of causing some uncertainty right now actually. So I think we'll just wait and see what's actually really going on. Looking out for a second and looking kind of at uh, the conditions and like outside the inner core, it's still very favorable upper air environment. You can see good outflow in pretty much all quadrants, southwest even, and then a nice outflow here. You got kind of an upper low or trough that's kind of digging down and assisting with that. So it's definitely got very good conditions, and these conditions should persist for the next few days. And uh, the only thing that can really stop it probably is inner core issues like it's having now. Now we have a recon mission in here, and yeah, it weakened quite a lot, about 12 millibars it seems between passes. We just had a new pass come in. Uh, so I'll have to see what that looks like, but does seem to be weakening quite quickly, if that is indeed like the rate of change of the pressure. But again, it's kind of uncertain what's going on. There's probably some sort of eye wall replacement cycle that I've heard upwelling talked about, but this isn't really consistent with upwelling. The convection isn't really getting less deep like you'd expect, and the eye is really cooling rather than the convection warming, then the eye cooling as the inner core really starts to degrade. So I don't think it's something like something like upwelling. Rather, it seems that we're at some sort of stage of an eye wall replacement cycle. There's a lot more consistency with that. There's been signs of it pretty much all afternoon, and there have been signs of an eye wall replacement cycle even in the recon flight. So it seems to be ongoing right now. We haven't had microwave passes for a long time, so we didn't really know how it was going for the longest while. Uh, yeah, I'm not sure if it's ending. I'm not sure if it's beginning. I think this is something we'll have to wait until probably like tomorrow morning to really get a good idea of what's going on, and have a better idea of, say, like the intensity and the intensity forecast. And I just pulled up a quick look at that pass up close into the center, and yeah, it does seem to be filling pretty quickly still. Looks like a minimum of 945.1 millibars. This is extrapolated, so we don't quite this isn't exact. We'll maybe have to see if we can get a drop zone or something in the center to see if it's still filling as fast as it was. But yeah, it definitely seems to be on a weakening trend. And again, so we'll have to see how that evolves. As for the stuff that's a bit less low confidence, uh, kind of general conditions around it haven't changed too much. We still have this kind of westerly upper level flow, but mostly north of the cyclone. And right now it's embedded in a pretty decent area. And again, like if you looking at the water vapor imagery, there's definitely like no issues with outflow, and it continues to be true. There's a little bit of southwesterly shear, but that is actually expected to become a bit less in the next few days. So uh, it's going to have another few days of pretty good conditions, and if it can really reorganize itself and perhaps deal with those inner core issues, perhaps it'll have a lot of time to actually intensify down the road. Looking at the water, or looking at the relative humidity here, there is some dry air around, but it's not super dry. So, and without any shear, system is strong, though if it's weakening, it doesn't hold up as well. But it's going to be hard to actually get dry air in there, and even if it does, it's not really strong enough to really hurt storm badly. It seems that it would be kind of make it a bit less organized for a little bit, and then uh, it'd be able to rebound eventually. So dry air doesn't seem to be a major issue, but it's definitely not as favorable as in some cases. So, general, this kind of status quo will last for a few days. It'll be under some low shear, but then eventually it's going to be caught in this kind of trough from the mid latitudes, but also kind of tut low. It's kind of sort of a hybrid, almost looks like a both. And at this point, it's not going to be able to push it out of the way, even if no matter how strong it is. So it's eventually going to start feeling those kind of southwesterly winds winds aloft, and that will start shearing it. Also, kind of note this big upper low from its outflow. But in general, it'll start getting sheared as it, at least for a day or two, as it interacts with this trough. The one big thing that I'd have to note here, though, is it seems the GFS has trended very much more favorable with this interaction. Instead of getting it sheared as it goes north, instead it seems that there's not much really strong wind here. There's maybe a trough here, but in general the winds aren't too strong at the outflow layer here. About 5 days out, there's some southerly winds, but again, the storm will also be traveling parallel to that. So it seems that shear might actually not be too bad. And when you have this, and then you have this kind of jet out here emanating from the storm, that's a sign that there might be some upward divergence actually. So this might actually be a more favorable interaction after the kind of initial shearing than we thought. But we'll have to see what kind of shape the storm is in, because if it's stronger, it maybe have a bit better of an opportunity to kind of benefit from this. But definitely an important trend for those further north who might be looking at impacts from SAM. Looking at this steering right now, it hasn't really changed from yesterday. It's the same sort of thing with the environmental conditions. It's not really much changing. That is going to have to wait a couple days before I see major changes. As you can see, this kind of mid-level ridge that is ahead of the storm, and that this and kind of the weakness of the flow in general is keeping it from moving too quickly. But the big thing we're going to have to watch here is a trough over Hudson Bay. So this is going to be around for a while, and basically what's going to happen with it is it's in mid-latitude, so usually it try to kind of go eastward in that mid-latitude flow. The issue is there's a big ridge that's amplifying ahead of it, and this is going to kind of become a blocking ridge. So it's not going to be able to move really eastward. Instead, it's going to try to, but it's going to kind of get pushed to the south by that ridge and eventually find itself somewhere over or near Atlantic Canada in the next few days. By Wednesday evening, it looks like it's over the northeastern United States, actually. And since it loses latitude here as it goes to the southeast, it's going to also start digging a little bit into the western Atlantic. And that is going to erode away a lot of that kind of ridging that's currently to the northwest of the storm. And what that's going to try to do is it's going to kind of amplify the flow to the east of it, so you're going to have more meridional flow up here, and that kind of favors, more poleward flow here, and so that's going to favor ridge building to the east of it. Now, Sam is likely going to be caught between these things while it happens. So you're not going to have, like, say, a ridge building to Sam's north, and that would be something that would keep it from going north. Instead, it's going to mainly go favor that ridge building to its northeast. So what that's going to do is, as it kind of turns and starts to recurve around that high, it's going to start speeding up as the actual, as that steering flow starts to become more coherent and allows it to start speeding up a bit more. And it seems that there, due to that big blocking ridge to the north, it's not going to this kind of trough that's stuck under here is not going to be able to move anywhere too quickly. It's going to be kind of stuck in this area, and it will be, or Sam will be kind of moving to the north towards it. I'll just see what it does. Does it kind of try to move northeast faster and go out to sea in the flow, or does it try to phase with this and kind of stick around here and cause some more hazardous weather for Atlantic Canada? It's a possibility, but I mean, this forecast is 6 days out. We're looking like, if that would happen, it'd be over a week out. This is something that'd be rather uncertain. It's far too early to be looking too closely at this so far. Looking at the official NHC forecast for this, or for Sam, it's expected to continue generally northwest, eventually speeding up along the way, and eventually probably recurving somewhere around 60 to 65 degrees west, maybe a bit further west or east, but in general, it should remain strong unless this inner core issue is like really bad for it. But in general, if that doesn't take it down too much, it will likely still be a major hurricane, probably within the next entire 5-day period. Further out, Bermuda may be in the crosshairs of this, but that's further than 5 days out. So again, it's still looking a little too far, and if you're in that area, just keep an eye on it. But there's still a lot of time before this will happen. It'll probably be passing by that latitude sometime next weekend, so it's definitely not something that's immediate or something you have to worry about a whole lot at this point. Now, there's two other things to look at. There's actually a monsoon trough disturbance that's trying to form a low pressure here, and that's right here. And there's also an African easterly wave that's emerging from Africa, and it seems that both of these have good support to develop, and we may actually see them start to strengthen a bit. It looks like this one will have a couple days, and then eventually that upper low that's amplified by Sam's outflow will come down and likely shear it pretty heavily, so it's not going to have too long to strengthen, but it'll have a few days, and then the shear will get to it. And this one looks like it'll gain a lot of latitude and eventually hit cold water, so it doesn't seem that these are major threats to land in the near future. But something interesting to look at. Usually you won't see big upticks of activity in this part of the basin this late in the season, so it's something interesting to look at, but not really anything to worry about too much. Otherwise, there isn't a whole lot else to talk about in the Atlantic right now. If you have any questions or comments about my video, please let me know. Thanks for watching.